I don't want to belabor the point because we told you it was coming, so here it is. And shout out to KP Show on Twitter. That's the account where I found this or saw this, and it grabbed my eye. Hey, Brock Purdy, Dink and Dunk Mafia, lend us your ears. Because all he does, boop, and then the YAC brothers turn Brock into an MVP. Right? Okay. Over the last 10 quarterback MVP award winners, the average YAC for those 10 winners, so how much of their yards are actually earned by the receiver after the receiver has caught the ball. For the whole season, the average for those 10 MVP quarterbacks is 48%. 48% of those quarterbacks' yards were actually gathered by the receiver after the catch. Okay? Last year, though, Patrick Mahomes won the MVP, and 54% of his yards were YAC yards, earned by the receivers, not the QB. 54% for Patrick Mahomes last year, MVP. So far this year, Brock Purdy, 48.5%. 48.5%. Dead in line with the last 10 quarterback MVPs and 6% less than what Patrick Mahomes used last year for the Chiefs to win the MVP. Please head home. Please drive home safely. Please watch the game. If you would like to come with your dink and your dunk and your screen pass and your Debo take with regard to why Brock Purdy has the numbers that he has. There, you can use that. Every time someone from Philly.
I wish I would have written it down. There was a lot
Seattle,
there.
Was it a lot?
There's a lot.
Is it?
Well, basically.
The percentage of yards that are done after the catch
are in line with MVPs.
And much less than Patrick last year.
Patrick this year, and I just did the math, he's at 58%. 58.1% of his yards this year are on yards after the catch.
10% more than Brock.
Yes.
Okay.
Brock Purdy's YAC per completion is number one in football. So he is getting more YAC yards per completion than anyone in football.
Yeah, because they throw the ball less.
Correct.
Yeah,
and I also don't know why we need to use that as a strike against him. And if you really want to look at numbers, we could look at the Cincinnati game, and he got 110 yards of passing yardage that were basically garbage time yards that, to me, are more damning against Brock Purdy than anything Deebo Samuel did yesterday.
Why would it be damning that he got those? What was he supposed to do?
Well, it's not damning at all. But if people want to hold something against a quarterback or their numbers, then hold the numbers against them that come when the game has already been decided. They're down by 2 touchdowns, and he got 87 yards on 2 plays that the Bengals didn't even really care about. So it's my way of saying that all these numbers, they don't really matter, and it all kind of equates and it all levels out. A lot of times you look at the guy who leads football in passing yards, and many times his team's not very good.
Right, because they have to throw the ball all the time.
Yeah, Sam Howell's been near the top of the list. I don't know if he still is.
You're right. He has been up there.
Yeah, and he's currently number 2. So you look at the teams 1 and 2. Houston is 1, and Washington's number 2.
Yep.
And Sam Howell's played more games. So will he still lead? Maybe. I think Tua is going to end up leading football in passing yards.
Yeah, Tua's third.
But a lot of times it's those teams that aren't very good because they got to throw it more.
Yeah. I mean, it's just an odd sort of a way. Like, yeah, Brock Purdy has thrown for 29 yards less than Josh Allen. That's all. 29 yards.
And he's thrown the ball 100 fewer times. Brock Purdy's number 23 in football in pass attempts.
The yards per attempt, we've been talking about them the last few weeks. They were at 9.4. They're now at 9.6. This is among the all-time great seasons as far as that number is concerned. 9.6. I think 9.7 is the all-time record. But Brock's is 9.6. Second place in the league is 8.6. It's a full yard longer than Tua Tagovailoa. These numbers are they're undeniable. They're undeniable. Nobody is ever going to make the argument that the 49ers don't put Brock in a good position. Kyle is your quarterback, Trent's your left tackle, Christian, blah, blah, blah. It's all true. He's got a very good team around him, the same way a lot of these guys do. Tua has Tyreek Hill, so you can get excited about Tua. I watched what he did yesterday. He threw the ball over Tyreek's incorrect shoulder, but Tyreek is 7 yards by the defender every time, and Tyreek saw the ball. So he looked over his left shoulder for the ball and went, oh, he threw it over my right shoulder. I'm going to turn around now, and I'm going to catch the ball and walk into the end zone. Not a very good throw, but a touchdown for 50-some-odd yards and a bunch of yards for Tua Tagovailoa. Everybody's got weapons that help, or else your team stinks. That's the way it works. These numbers, the way they're tracking, I know he's only a slight favorite right now. Something's going to have to go wrong for the 49ers to have him not win the MVP. These numbers are going to have to go sideways, because if you're on a team that goes 14-3 or 13-4 and secures a 1 or a 2 seed, and you are first place in like every single quarterback category, you win. Of the 8 highest rated individual games this year by any quarterback, 4 of them are him. Of the top 8 performances this year by rating, 4 of them are Brock Purdy.
It makes sense because his quarterback rating, where it sits right now, 116.1, is the 9th highest quarterback rating of all time. And if you look at the 8 seasons that have been better than Brock Purdy, Aaron Rodgers holds the top 2, 122.5, 121.5. Both were MVP seasons. Peyton Manning is 3rd, 121.1, MVP season. Nick Foles and Ryan Tannehill are 4th and 5th. They did not win the MVP.
No.
Tom Brady is 6th, MVP. There's a guy who played in Atlanta named Matt Ryan. 117.1, he won the MVP. Drew Brees, 116.3, didn't win the MVP. That was the Lamar Jackson year.
Got it.
When Lamar went, 1,000, I think, right?
Think so.
And so Drew Brees, Drew was 40. It was a very good year for Drew, but he got beaten by Lamar. Then Brock Purdy's on the list. So that's the company in which he currently keeps.
Yeah. It's just been fantastic. 365 days of Brock. Here we are. It was December 4th, 2022. Jimmy Garoppolo broke his foot, and we all looked at each other and went, well, that's the end of that. I mean, like every human being not named Larry Krueger was like, that's the end of that. Here comes this tiny little guy out of Iowa State. What is it he's going to do? And then by the end of the game, they had beaten the Miami Dolphins after spotting them 7 on the very first play of the game. And I remember what that felt like. It was like, he looked good. You kind of have that tone. Like, yeah, they looked okay.
Yeah.
Like, still think the Niners are up a creek, but it was kind of interesting. Good job, Lil Brock.
Yeah.
Good job.
I didn't think they were up a creek, but I didn't think that this would be where we would be. I thought that they had enough around him to where he could be just an okay placeholder, like Jimmy Light, and they could still win a lot of games, and they could win big games.
Yeah.
And then he's gone on to do way more than I ever imagined.
23 TDs to 6 picks is incredible. And again, that's all the stats. But the only reason, because I normally, stats, schmats, but I think they're important when 49er fans have to put their dukes up with regard
all
to
the time, yeah.
With regard to the perception that is starting to wane. It's starting to break down. It has still permeated the drunk tailgate party of the opponent. That I've noticed. It's still permeated there.
Well, I don't think that the drunk tailgate in Philadelphia is going to have that take any longer.
Well, they can't see straight. And they can't see through their tears today.